everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in on a totally random Sunday. Kind of random, but not. Today is 10 August. We're going to get into why 10 August is one of the most significant days in Scientology that you may or may not know. But first, breaking news. Mr. Jamie Mustard, the author of Child X, has been featured in a Daily Mail article. And we're going to dive into that. This book tells Jamie's story, but also the untold story of thousands of children, the entire lost generation of Scientology, who grew up in the same conditions that he did. Oh, Mandy, you're in the middle of it? Okay, we'll discuss. All right. Let's dive into this article here because there's some very interesting things that the church thought was significant to try to, refute. Okay, my glasses are filthy, guys. I have been up. I just as a note for the audience here, I am jacked up on coffee right now. I have had like 6 shots this morning of espresso because I got up super early to take somebody to the airport and to avoid the pedal something. Anyway, they're letting bicycles on the freeways and the bridges here, so it's like it's chaos. It's absolute chaos. Things are blocked off. People can't go. It's a nightmare today. So I had to make sure I had enough time, which I did. And then I got back without it taking 14 hours. So let's dive into it. This is the reader view from the Daily Mail. You guys can see that here, Daily Mail. Okay. So before I get into that, let me just put my banner up. All right. So how I escaped a nightmare childhood in the baby factory after a hellish punishment drove me to break my 1 billion year contract. As far back as he can remember, Jamie Mustard says his childhood was one of squalor, nonstop indoctrination, jaw-dropping exploitation, and reckless indifference to his safety. A truer sentence has never been written in the media about Scientology. The son of a Scientologist mother, he was placed in the care of the church's nursery months after his birth in 1970. His earliest memories are of the cracked, dust-caked linoleum floors of a Los Angeles apartment building that he calls the baby factory. As a child, Mustard claims he signed a billion-year contract to serve the church, a document that he could neither legibly affix his name to nor comprehend. But years later, it was after spending 2 days in the engine room of the Scientology-owned ship, the Freewinds, given the pyrrhic task of cleaning oil from the vessel's bilge pumps, that Mustard decided he had to escape. Now, more than 3 decades after what he calls his liberation, Mustard, 55, reveals in the book Child X the alleged inner workings of the Church of Scientology through the eyes of a man who was born into the religious movement. Childhood in the church, he writes, was to be endured rather than enjoyed. A life of regimentation, rote learning, and menial tasks, even for the youngest, all conducted under fake military protocols, including shouts of "Aye, sir," when responding to an adult. The convention was imposed by American science fiction writer L. Ron Hubbard himself, who, after founding the organization in 1954, spent years living on the high seas, building a pseudo-navy of Scientology devotees called the Sea Organization. Look at baby Jamie. Mustard claims that children face punishment, often severe, for any form of disobedience or failure to perform tasks assigned to them. Parents, Mustard says, were even sometimes ordered to spank their naked children on a stage in front of an audience. Oh, Laura, we're going to get there. We're going to get there, honey. Hang on. Hold on to your butts, everyone. Okay? Yeah. This is Guys, we're going to get there. As far back as you can remember, Jamie says, oh, this was just the same quote from before. So here's baby Jamie. Look at that. It's a shocking allegation that Mustard's mother, hot dog, Roz Reese, flatly denied in a declaration to the Daily Mail. I would love to see this whole declaration. Reese said she never disciplined her child in this manner, which, by the way, Jamie says in the book that his mom refused to do the public spankings. Okay, so both of them agree right here in front of an audience, nor witnessed any other parents do such thing. She was not there. She was not there. Only the parents who were going to do the disciplining of their children in that fashion got up on the stage and were there. She refused to do it. She wasn't there. Lawyers representing the Church of Scientology also denied spanking was a practice in the Sea Organization or Scientology. My ass would beg to differ, and claimed that all of Mustard's allegations of child abuse were false. Nevertheless, Mustard paints a dark portrait of his young life, one of outlandish behaviors and beliefs taken as everyday fact. For instance, in Scientology, fellow believers are often referred to as terminals, and non-members are wogs, a disparaging racial slur. Correct. In England, that's akin to the N-word. Okay. At the core of the belief system is the idea that Earth was populated 75 million years ago by extraterrestrials who were killed in an ancient apocalypse and whose spirits now haunt humanity, causing problems that can only be addressed, of course, through the insights of Lafayette Ronald. At the age of 5, Mustard says he was unable to write his own name. Yet he scratched his assent to a billion-year contract, believing it obligated him to serve the movement for an unimaginable length of time. Mustard signed it, he says, pitifully hoping it might bring him closer to his allegedly absent mother, who had herself signed a similar contract to serve as a Hubbard devotee. Now, in a statement to the Daily Mail, Roz said she recalled the contract signing differently than her son, claiming Jamin was 7 or 8 at the time of the incident and that the children had requested to sign a contract like their parents had before them. The document was symbolic, Reese said, and the evidence that she witnessed, adorable. Guys, it's adorable for a 7 or 8-year-old, even if 5, I don't care if you're 5, 6, 7, 8, to say, I'm going to pledge myself to indentured servitude for 1 billion years to make this plan. What other religion has people sign a pledge like that? We're going to get into that in a minute. At the age of 9, Mustard writes that he was summoned for a very special job. In 1976, the church had purchased a building complex once belonging to Los Angeles Cedars of Lebanon Hospital, now Scientology's bright blue West Coast headquarters, for $5 million. But at the time, it required extensive renovations. Mustard writes that the church allegedly needed child-sized person to clean out the industrial air vents as they refurbished the property. So equipped in an oversized hazmat protective suit and a respirator, Mustard claims he was ordered to crawl through metal air ducts, spreading industrial chemicals to remove the rust. In the book, he talks about, having to scrub those things for hours and hours and hours. Okay. For months, he says he spent 8 hours a day in the vents, his eyes stinging, praying for the adults to release him. He said he would allegedly fall asleep from fear and exhaustion in the square steel caves. There's Jamie at 9. That's 9-year-old Jamie. Okay. And there's Big Blue. There's Lafayette Ronald trying to look like he's important. Okay. And there's 18-year-old Jamie. After the air vent job was complete, another dangerous task allegedly lay ahead for Mustard, he claimed. Now, in England, they have to be very careful. This is all the alleged and claiming and all this bullshit. But anyway, moving on. Handed giant yellow rubber gloves and a box of industrial trash bags, he says, he was ordered to pluck clumps of fiberglass wool off the walls and pillars of the building. The result, he writes, was the painful sting of tiny shards head to toe. Only scalding hot baths would give relief as the warmth opened the pores, allowing the slivers of fiberglass to float free, according to Mustard. In a statement to the Daily Mail, the law firm representing Scientology said, quote, that while Sea Organization staff contributed to these renovations at the church's Los Angeles headquarters, our client has no record of Mr. Mustard's participation in the activities described, nor did the church have children conduct such work. The lawyers denied that the church used child labor in general. Just let that marinate for a second. Guys, the lawyers denied that the church used child labor in general. I'm sorry. Janice Gillum Grady's book, very, very explicitly covers her life as a child personal servant, indentured servant to Lafayette Ronald at the very beginning of his fake space navy. Child labor, guys, my hair is so messed up today. I apologize to the entire audience. Child labor is the bread and butter, dare we say, of Scientology. There's no part of Scientology that doesn't involve the recruitment and the human trafficking of children in order to do labor. But they're going to deny in writing. Thank you very much for that, Church of Scientology, by the way. Thank you for putting that in writing. Because the tens of thousands of children born into that organization across the world would like some words. We would like some words with you. Because there's no portion of our lives that did not consist of doing non-consensual labor for you guys. Even though, guys, I signed many billion-year contracts as a minor, and I did not officially, start my indentured servitude until I was 18 because my mother said no every time. Every time I went to visit my father after they got divorced in Southern California, I was put to work as a volunteer for various projects and organizations around Big Blue. Okay? So there's no time, even when you're not official, okay? They don't have a record of you. Ma'am, they don't have a record of you during that summer where you were a page for the supervision of the counseling. We don't have a record. Of course you don't. Of course you don't. Because children aren't people, and they didn't have to pay us, so they didn't write anything down. Like how easy is this to figure out, kids? How easy is this to figure out? Okay, let's get back to this here. The lawyers denied that the church used child labor in general. When Mustard was 18 years old, he says he was working 18-hour days, taking subscriptions from followers, enrolling in the church's lucrative courses required for true enlightenment. Thank you, Miss D. See? It's no just me, guys. Okay? Give me a break, guys. Mustard, who didn't even have a bank account and couldn't afford to insure his car at the time, describes handling checks of inconceivable size, which is when he says the penny dropped. He was a slave. Yet, even as one day bled into the next, thoughts of escape remained terrifying to him. He claims that if he expressed his desire to leave, the church would have subjected him to months of physical labor and interrogations. And if he escaped without permission, he would lose the only world he'd ever known. Lawyers for Scientology insisted that anyone wishing to leave the church are free to do so. Denied that Mustard would have been subjected to physical labor and interrogations, and that those who leave the Sea Organization are asked to follow certain administrative procedures to wind up their staff affairs. Oh, this is the caveat. You can leave whenever you want, except for these quid pro quo here, certain administrative procedures to wind up your affairs. That is the physical labor and the endless interrogations. Okay. Mustard says his turning point came when he says he was condemned to punishment on a church-owned cruise ship called the Free Ones in 1989. He recalls a female officer screaming as he stepped aboard the ship, "Put this person in the deepest, darkest bilge you have," even though he says he had committed no offense. Mustard says he was shown to a crevice on the deck and was directed to climb in. Under it, frothy oil drooled from the beast of an engine towering above me, a behemoth mechanical sculpture, he writes. A ship's engine constantly emits oil, which leaches into a mix of seawater and grime. Whatever you clean out is immediately replaced with a new slurry of gunk. Okay. Mitch in the house, Mitch Brisker, thank you for corroborating this. When Mitch first arrived at Golden Era Productions out there in the desert of California, there was a 14 and a 17-year-old working on the film crew. Okay? There's never been a time in Scientology's history where there haven't been minors running amok. That's just facts. They still have them now. We've seen them at the test center. We've seen them at Big Blue. They've been seen in Australia. They've been seen in Europe. They've been seen in England. Okay? It's still happening now. It was a task that could never be completed, of course. A deliberate reminder, says Mustard, of the movement's billion-year commitment. Here's Jamie looking very, very 80s. Look at this denim combo here. So slick. There he is there in Oxford. Okay. The London School of Economics. While not confirmed Mustard's punishment, lawyers for Scientology said that cleaning duties, listen carefully, were part of ordinary responsibilities for individuals working on the Free Winds, calling the task an eminently reasonable task to expect crew members to perform. But why is it only performed as punishment then? If it's an eminently reasonable task, why is cleaning the bilges, like if you get sent to clean the bilges, you're fucked, right? Mustard said he spent 2 days in the bilges and a hellish stint in the engine room, during which he was hospitalized with heat exhaustion. This is another claim that the Church of Scientology contests. They say that engineers aboard the Free Ones have no record of hospitalization. They wouldn't for heat exhaustion during that period. And furthermore, the ship's doctor, that is not a thing. I would love to know who the ship's doctor is, where their degree is from, where their medical license is from. There is no ship's doctor. There is the medical liaison officer, who oftentimes is a teen with no medical training whatsoever. And furthermore, the ship's doctor had no record of Mustard's medical emergency. Do you think that the Free Winds has their original records from 1989? Remember, they did their maiden voyage in 1988. So would they really? Come on. But it was at that moment, Mustard writes that he was transferred back to Clearwater, Florida, and plucked the courage to escape. In April 1990, he said he gathered a small sack of belongings and, still dressed in his white maritime uniform, hailed a taxi and fled to the airport in Tampa. He says he was relentlessly pursued by the Scientologists. For even as he attempted to establish a new life, the ordeal continued. Mustard said he was tracked down and hounded by operatives from the movement, demanding that he return and claiming, among other things, that he repay $90,000, the value of the training they claim he received. Lawyers for Scientology say Mustard paid $5,000 for training services that he received in this organization, but denied that he was pushed to pay more. That's called an amnesty, guys. So they hit you. Let's dive into that for 1 second here. Okay. So if you join, okay, if you are conned into signing that billion years pledge to, indenture servitude yourself, right? Okay. So you get conned into that. And if you do any form of on-the-job training, right? Like they have to give you these Lafayette Ronald courses in order for you to do your job. Okay. There is no course that doesn't have a monetary unit attached to it, even for people who are working there. So imagine, guys, that you go to work for Starbucks. Okay. Let's just throw Starbucks out there. And Starbucks is like, okay, we need to put you through this training so that you can brew the coffee properly. And you're like, oh, of course, I need training. Thank you. Thank you for training me how to use your machines and stuff. But they have you sign a piece of paper that says, hey, if I ever stop working for Starbucks, I have to pay you for what it costs to do this course. Now, immediately you'd be like, I'm sorry, what? Like, I'm going to work. You hired me. In order for me to work, you have to tell me how you want me to do job. That's called on-the-job training. Now you're saying that this training has a monetary value attached to it that I'm going to owe you in full if I should ever cease employment here with your who would take that job? Nobody. Right? So when you're working the 10 to 15 hours days, 7 days a week for pennies, which I showed you guys in my short, if the mods want to post that small video, pennies per hour. They now want you to pay back thousands, tens of thousands. My bill that they tried to stick me with was like $37,000. Okay. $37,000 after giving all that time. After giving them 8 years of time and getting literal slave wages, they wanted to bill me $35,000. This article is proof. They've admitted it. They've admitted it in writing. So what happens is you get this outrageous bill. Okay. And so they call you constantly. Like, when are you going to start flowing to your bill? Can you give $5? Can you give $10? Let's do $10 a week. How about $10 a week? How about $100 a week? Like they try to get you to like make a regular contribution towards this imaginary, collectible bill that they've come up with. Okay. And then every once in a while, they're real desperate for money. They're real desperate. So they'll call you up and they'll be like, listen, we know you owed us 90 grand, but I tell you what, you want to do some Scientology? You want to get back in that course room? You want to get some counseling? If you give us 5 grand right now, we'll wipe it clean. Well, done. You don't have to give any more. Now, I can't confirm or deny if Jamie did that at some point because he was still a Scientologist after he left, right? That may be the case. I don't know. But that's where that 5 grand that, I'm reading into this. That's where that 5 grand could have come from. There's a lot of people who settled their freeloader debt, which is not a real thing. Please, under the radar Scientologists, SEERG members, the freeloader debt is not enforceable. It is not a legally collectible debt. Please know that. All of the training and the counseling that you have gotten over however long you've been there, okay, per like labor laws and other things, and the fact that you're getting paid pennies per hour. There is no state in this country, even in the state that we're in right now, that is going to enforce the collection of an imaginary debt. It is imaginary. It is not real. Please, please, please understand that. But they have put in writing 2 major lies here. Okay, let's get back to the article. Okay, so they don't deny that there is a debt right here in this second sentence. Okay, they just confirmed that he paid for training services that he received in the Sea organization. But they're like, oh, please, come on, we're not assholes. It was only $5,000. It was only $5,000. So they are saying in writing, in refuting Jamie's, honest testimony about his life and thousands of other people's lives that we all endured, that you have to pay for the training services that you get, that you're forced to do in order to do the job they're telling you to do, okay? While you're being paid pennies on the dollar. That is nuts. It would be a decade before Mustard could finally disentangle himself from Scientology completely and the people who he once said controlled him. Today, his life could hardly be more different from the one fate had handed him at birth. Now living in Portland, Oregon, Mustard is an established author and commentator, a graduate of Georgetown University and the prestigious London School of Economics. And he says he hasn't spoken to his mother in 20 years. Yet his new book acknowledges, sadly, some things cannot be changed. When my mother found out that I'd been accepted to the London School of Economics in Georgetown, she called me, he writes. I heard her draw on her cigarette through the phone. Oh, you're going to be a WOG, she said. This article, guys, Scientology thinks the things that they say that are acceptable to Scientologists is like okay with the rest of the world, right? And a religion encouraging children to sign away their life for 1 billion years as a symbol. It was not a symbol. Those are the things that they would hound your parents about for years and years and years. Now, I have a couple things that I want to bring up here that I have to find. Not that one just yet. Hang on one second. Okay, just real quick. This is just a bit of trivia. Okay. Why is 10 August so important to Scientologists? Right here. This is the Lafayette Ronald Bulletin written on the 10th of August, 1973, colloquially referred to as a 10-og. When you are a potential trouble source and you're getting a handling, you're getting a what? A 10-og. Just to give you guys some super inside baseball. Oh, Nora, you did it again. Yeah. I just wanted to show you guys that. Today is 10 August. It's a little bit of inside baseball for you guys, okay? A PTS person is rarely psychotic, but all psychotics are PTS, if only to themselves. So, just so like, learned. Look at this. In a more garbled way, the medicos, this is doctors, he calls them medicos, and nutritionists are always talking about stress causing illness. Fucking liars. Lacking full tech, they yet have the inkling that this is so because they see it as somehow true. It is true. Science has proved that stress causes a majority of illness and problems in people. A person under stress is actually under suppression. No. If that suppression is located and the person handles or disconnects, what? Disconnects? The condition diminishes. Okay. I had to give you guys that. But I want to bring up a couple other things here that I don't, you're going to have to bear with me real quick here. Okay. So, talk amongst yourselves. Let's see here. That's the folder I want. And I need... We're going to go over a definition here. This is crazy. Where's all my stuff? I think I put it here in my... No, not that one. Let me see if I have it somewhere else. Please hold. I apologize, everyone. I've lost half of my stuff. I wish I could figure it out. Okay, we'll go with this reference because I want to remind everyone that the definition of a child is a person who can't hold a job in Scientology. Okay. And let's go over this lovely, lovely bit of documentation here that we read in an earlier stream about why children are no longer there. Okay. So this is from 1991, and this was revised again in 1996. But in 1991, this is what they said. Now, this was obviously not written by Lafayette Ronald. Okay. This was written by this guy, Guillaume Lousev, who is where? I don't know. But he used to be the executive director international. Okay. So in 1991, while he still had some authorities, this is what he said. Children, Sea Org members, and Sea Org orgs. This is fake Space Navy people and the places where you work. Okay. We handle the first, self, this is dynamics, and the second, sex and family, only to achieve better function on the third and fourth. This is from the book by Lafayette Ronald, Scientology 0 to 8. Okay. The fake Space Navy is the only group which is taking complete responsibility to handle the whole planet. The ultimate responsibility to clear this planet lays with the fake Space Navy. This is a huge task and a very large responsibility. It requires complete dedication and determination from its staff. The fake Space Navy is not set up to handle or take care of children's. Fake Space Navy members getting children, not birthing them, not creating them, not having them, just getting them, has resulted in unpractical burden on the fake Space Navy units and inhibited their efficiency. No fake Space Navy installation has the job of making future Space Navy members for 20 years from now. Okay, so it's a 20-year hiatus. We have plenty of people. We don't need any more. 20 years from now, in 2001, you guys can start up again. Now, true facts. There is can I find that one? Let me look. There's another fake Space Navy doctrine written by L. Ron. Let me see if I have that on my computer, because I did a stupid thing. I was trying to free up memory, and I think I moved too many things off into a thing. God damn it, Janet. Nope, that's not going to be it either. Okay, well, I'm going to commit a high crime here. I'm just going to tell you it verbally. So that order written by Lafayette Ronald in 1970 was called 30 years. Okay, and I'll find it and I'll post it on the community page. Okay, so in that order, 30 years, Lafayette Ronald predicts that by the year 2000, humanity will not exist on planet Earth because we're destroying it. And human life will not be able to actually exist, right? So it's interesting that in 1991, okay, 21 years later, okay, and we're talking now 5 years after Lafayette Ronald passed away, okay, that all of Scientology is still in the firm belief that the planet is going to die soon. And so when can they start reproducing to create new fake Space Navy members? 20 years from now, the year after humanity is supposed to no longer exist. The year after humanity is supposed to no longer exist. Like, I'm sorry, what? Therefore, Sea Org members who have new children will not be allowed to remain on duty in fake Space Navy units. Such fake Space Navy members will be sent to, the non-Space Navy organizations for duty in order to infuse fake Space Navy productivity, slave labor, okay, and thus help the assigned lower entity expand. This issue establishes the exact lines to be used. This is the course of action that you have to do, okay? When a fake Space Navy member begets, they're begetting a child, like we're in the Bible. We are the people of Eden. And Abraham begot so-and-so and begatted and begets and begot. Yes. A list of non-expanding, small, distant from the central fake Space Navy operations places are drawn up by the person who's in charge of where people go. This list will cover the only places where the fake Space Navy members who beget a child will be sent. The list requires approval from this group of people and the guy writing this, Guillaume, and will be the only entities authorized for fake Space Navy parents. So already they're going to make a list, okay, of places that are failing. They are small and they are far, far, far away. So nobody knows they made a baby. So that those people will be forgotten, that they will not, other people who are indentured servitude servants will not be reminded that, like, oh, I could have a baby too. Look at that cute baby. I want a baby. Married fake Space Navy members currently working in a fake Space Navy place who beget a child will be sent to a small, non-expanding outer entity from the authorized list. They may not They may not be placed in the place closest to the Space Navy or unit where they came from, or any other entity not on the list. You must go to the failing place. The exact procedure is to be followed. To be followed is, once it's known that a fake Space Navy member in a Space Navy place is pregnante, the person in charge of the people of human resources there of the Space Navy entity where the parents are currently working must notify their counterpart in the international realm immediately by dispatch, hand route. Okay, so you write a note and you have somebody run it over there. With the personnel and ethics folders, that's all of the info. That's the nitty gritty. That's all the dirt. Okay. So they have to run it over there across town. In the case of Los Angeles, it's literally across town to the building where the Lafayette Ronald Life Exhibition is housed. Okay. And that person at the international level orders the person back in the org in the fake Space Navy place to get the concerned Space Navy members replaced. You can't have people not have job in that sector. So now immediately we have to plug that hole, okay, and have them report to this other place where important people are. Okay, it's the responsibility of the person in their place where they work, okay, to get the concerned fake Space Navy members replaced. Failure to get them replaced within a reasonable time period, not to exceed 60 days. Guys, 2 months. For those of you who work a corporate job, I want you to think real long and hard about losing people. They leave, they go to another job. How long does it take to get that position replaced? Sometimes the position sits open for years. 60 days, that's reasonable. Or withholding the fact that they are pregnante, they're going to get justice. They're going to get Scientology justice. Okay. And all of the people in that fake Space Navy place will also be punished. Okay. I went too far. Please stop doing that. Okay. So then it basically says, all these everyone from the people all the way through everybody who's senior to them, all the way to the people at the international level can be completely punished, okay, for this not being reported, okay, and for not replacing the people upon them exiting, okay. Now, they are supposed to be getting training. Again, there's that training to do the jobs that they will now have to do at the new place they're going to, which most likely will be totally different than the jobs they are already trained for. Now, once the child reaches 6 years of age and is able to hold a job in the fake Space Navy Children's Organization, once the child reaches 6 years of age and is able to hold a job in the fake Space Navy Children's Wing, the parents can become eligible for returning to the fake Space Navy. Only if they have expanded the place they got sent to. Okay. Once the child is 6 and can hold a job, then the parents can come back. Okay. That is how Lafayette Ronald and all who came after him view children. That once you are able with your teeny tiny body, okay, to do a job which included manual labor, of any kind, then you're eligible to join. You're eligible to join. So for them to say, for them to have the literal brass cojones, okay, in this article, let me just pull that back up again, to say, let's get it here. Scrolling. Found it. For them to say, the law firm representing Scientology said that while Sea Organization staff, the fake Space Navy, contributed to these renovations at the church's Los Angeles headquarters, our client, the Church of Scientology, has no record of Mr. Mustard's participation in the activities described, nor did the church have children conduct such work. The lawyers denied that the church used child labor in general. Let's be clear on this legal statement. The lawyers denied that the church used child labor in general. They do not say that they have never used child labor. Let that be clear. They didn't say we have never, children have never done labor in any of our organizations. They just don't use it in general. Again, they are admitting here that they do in fact use child labor, that they have in fact used child labor, but in their opinion, it's not in general, which is a very broad statement, but is not an emphatic no, is not a never ever. They just admitted in writing that they have in fact used child labor. Every single one of us out here should take, I'm going to post this. I'm going to post the downloaded PDF for everybody to download in case they decide to retract this article somewhere. Okay. I'm going to post it on my community page. I downloaded a PDF. I'm going to post it there. You guys can all download it. You guys can all take it. I'm going to send it to the Andrews and Thornton people. Right here is the most, in my opinion, the most damning statement that they could make. Okay. Because they just admitted that they do in fact utilize child labor. That is a smoking gun, y'all. Nora, that is a smoking gun. Okay. Now this part here, he claims that if he expressed his desire to leave the church would have subjected him to months of physical labor and interrogations. Let's dive into that chestnut here for a moment. So let me go here. Yes. I thank you, my friend. Let me just download something really quickly so I can, that's page 1. Thank you. And page 2. I'm just downloading these pages so it's easier for you guys to see real quick. But there is a specific policy called Leaving and Leaves by Lafayette Ronald. Let's just pull those up here. Okay. And I beg to differ. Let's pull that up. All right. This is from the year I was born, guys. 1976. It has occasionally happened in the past that a staff or crew member has used the fact that he or she was leaving to spread upset. It is common mistake wrong. It is a common make wrong in children to threaten to run away. And it is a common action of suppressives to spread upset and dissatisfaction by saying they are leaving. Now, please listen closely, because this doesn't say leaving Scientology. And he doesn't say leaving Scientology, just leaving. Don't get it twisted. He did that on purpose. There are some people who leave wherever they are obsessively, and the most casual check reveals they have seldom remained anywhere, committing continual crimes, Scientological crimes. They are routinely running away from any job, job, and then a post in Scientology is a job, any group, and from themselves and life. As the actual reason behind unauthorized leaves, blows, is crimes and withholding those crimes, keeping the secret. Okay. The excuses for leaving are usually simply justifications and are actually, now, third party is like when you go behind someone's back and you're telling hot goss about them that makes people think differently about them. Okay. Of associates, usually false reports. Okay. Like somebody saying they did a lot of stuff when they didn't. Okay. Therefore, informing fellow staff members and others that one is leaving is hereby properly labeled a suppressive act. I'm going to read that again. Informing fellow staff members and others that one is leaving is hereby properly labeled a suppressive act. So I want all of you who've only ever existed in the, the normies world here, the uncult babies, okay, like 7-Up. No cult, never had it, never will. Okay. Is there a job that you have ever done where you telling your boss, hey, I'm giving my 2 weeks notice, is labeled by that company as an act of you openly committing warfare against them and seeking to destroy that company? Now, I'm sure there's been times where people were upset because somebody was exiting the employment. It was going to cause other problems, et cetera, et cetera. But never in the history of corporate law has it been okay for someone. Oh yeah, no, that's true. That's also suppressive. We're going to get into that. So if you just leave, also suppressive, okay? Right? It's insane. This is an insane thing. But I will tell you right here, that line right there is what keeps, I would wager 80% of the people in those buildings trapped mentally, by trapping themselves mentally with that phrase. Because the last thing that anybody wants to be, who is a practicing member of the fake Space Navy or anything else, okay, is to become suppressive. Wow. So I'm going to translate a little bit of what Lara said here. So security made Lara call her mom at the Gold Base to find out what the possible plans were, like where she would go. She was a child. If she left, and she got threatened with what's called a non-interbulation order. Okay. So non-interbulation order means you cannot say anything that would be upsetting in any way, shape, or form. because you yourself are the source of nothing but bad things. You're evil. You are evil. So fucked up. I ended up staying for more interrogations for another 3 months. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Where it is found that this is occurring, and if the person concerned does not report it to the proper terminals, to the proper people, see, it's like Jamie said what he said, that people are referred to as terminals. The chaplain and this person who's in charge of the personnel and the ethics, okay? Departure will be followed by a declare. That means you are instantly suppressive. If one is going to leave, if you are going to leave, the proper action is to report it only to that person in charge of Division 1, okay, and the staff chaplain, and not to other fellow staff members. Okay. What happens when you report it to either of these two people? Okay. Well, I'll tell you. True story time. Here we go. True story interlude. In 1990, I have to think really hard on this. Yeah, because so many things happened to me, guys. I believe it was 1997. I ran away. I had done all these things. Okay. So this time I really wanted to leave again. And I knew I can't just take off, right? That's the wrong thing to do. I took off once already in 1996, ran away. And then they, hauled me back in, telling me I was going to be suppressive. My mom was going to be suppressive. My sister was going to be suppressive. It was going to, affect all these other people. So I came back. So in 1997, looking back on it now, I was immensely suicidal. Still grieving the loss of my father, who passed suddenly in 1995 when I was 19 years old. I was failing. I was just failing miserably, and I was miserable, just absolutely fucking miserable. So I thought, okay, instead of hurting myself, I'm going to do the right thing. So I went into that office, okay, where the top personnel people are. I got a friend of mine to let me in, because you're not supposed to be in there by yourself unless you are part of that division, because you have to have special qualifications to be there. One of which is that you can have never run away. Also, one is that you want to be in that division. I did not want to be in that division anymore. That's how I got booted out, because I said I didn't want to be there. Actually, I told them I wanted to unalive myself. And then they were like, go fuck yourself. You can't say things like that. Maybe you just don't want to be here. And I was like, okay. I should have been like, no, bitch, I'm going to do it. Anyway, it would have saved me a lot of other problems, but that's a whole other story. So I went, and any action like this, okay, everything you do inside of one of these places has a checklist of things that you're supposed to do that they call a routing form. The routing form takes you from person to person to person through a very exact motions to go through something. So that is either the routing form takes you to start one of the classes. It takes you when you finish the classes through all these people. When you finish one of the counseling things, you have a specific form for each step that you finish or you start. Okay. So one of those forms is called the leaving staff routing form. Okay. It's got like 3 or 4 steps. It's one of the shortest ones that exists. Step 1 is you, the person, are supposed to be like, check this box. I want to leave. And then you're supposed to give this to only one person in the entire place. And that is the person who's in charge of the first division, known as the Hubbard Area Secretary. Okay. The HCO, the Hubbard Communications Office Area Secretary. Okay. It's a bunch of hullabaloo, basically to say the person in charge of all of the justice, of all of the reporting and snitch culture, of where people work, why they can work there, and vetting them for those jobs. That's that person's job. Okay. So I filled out this form and I left it on that person's desk with a note attached on top. Like I turned it over so that nobody could see my name. I wasn't trying to cause a hullabaloo. And I left a note. The next day, I get like furiously called to the basement area. And I am met with that person whose name was Grace Kevitt. I am met with no less than 4 other executives, including my immediate boss, her boss, and then the captain, Dave Pettit. So I'm confronted with Wendy Oshida, Grace Kevitt, Wendy Oshida, Wee Janderson, Renee Duzak, and Dave Pettit. And also for good measure, for some reason, the L. Ron Hubbard communicator had to be there to like triple intimidate me. Okay. This woman, Tara. Okay. So they're all staring at me in this office. And of course, they're just going to wait to see what, the man in charge, these 5 ladies are standing there, but the man is going to be the one that's going to tell me. Dave Pettit, the most closeted gay man I've ever met in my life. If you guys meet him for 5 minutes, you'll be like, oh, wow. Hello. Anyway, he is shaking this routing form in my face. What the fuck is this? And I was like, it's a routing form, sir. I know what the fuck a routing form is. What the fuck does this mean? I said, it means, and I'm looking around because I'm only supposed to tell one person this. She happens to be in the room, but there's all these other people. And I'm like, well, I mean, I'm only supposed to tell, Grace this, but it means I want to not work here anymore. This man proceeded to tear the routing form, like shred it, like he's a human shredding machine in front of me and just throwing the bits of the paper at me while I'm seated in this chair to tell me it would be a cold day in hell before he would throw away the amount of money they had paid to the place where Aaron goes and protests all the time, okay, down there in Clearwater. The money they paid to train me to do my job, like basically go fuck yourself. Get your shit together and you're going to work right. Like everyone was like, you're going to work right now. Like I didn't even bring my uniform, guys, because I literally was like, okay, I'm going to go and they're going to make me do this hard labor and I'm going to start my, interrogations. I'm ready. I like steeled myself for this moment. And then I get told, no, not just like, listen, we'd really like to keep you because you're valuable and we think you do a great job. And like, let's talk about why you're not feeling great right now. Like what's going on? And I told them that at this time I had, when I told them the year prior in 1996, after I ran away, that I was trying to unalive myself, guys. I would sit every night in my bed as I was going to sleep and try to stop my heart from beating and try to stop my body from breathing. I was trying to will my body to die and just allow me to exit this corporal realm and go be with, my grandmother and my dad and all the other people, because that's where I belonged. I didn't belong here on Earth. I wasn't good enough for that. And they thought, you should just knock it off. You should just knock that off. Just stop doing that. And that I did for a little bit. I wasn't doing that every night. But those thoughts and impulses had become very loud in my head again at this time. And I was trying to not, by just saying, you know what, this clearly, I'm not good at this. Maybe just let me, I'm sure there's plenty of other people out there that can do this job. Like, I know they can. And, maybe it's just not for me. Yeah. So there is a routing form. There are people you're supposed to tell. But even when you do it the right way, you may not leave. And if you do leave, they will come get you. They have travel agents still to this day who can get into every single online booking system and see if you're booked on a flight and where are you going? When do you land there? They will send people to every bus station, every metro station, every subway, every form of transportation they will have covered. And then, if you somehow get out of the city, they will start physically, not on the phone, physically contacting every single one of your relatives, every person you've ever known in your whole life, to find out if you are there. They went to my parents' house when I ran away and pushed their way into my house, into my parents' home, which I had never lived in, by the way, because they moved to that place after I was already an indentured servant. I didn't have a room there. I didn't have possessions there. They broke in to my parents' house in trying to intimidate them to produce me. Threatening my mom with, excommunication if she did not. That is what they do. And they start when you're a child, so that you don't fight back, you don't talk back, you don't say the things that are bad, because that would cause disruption, that would cause upset to other people. We don't say those bad things because that's bad all by itself, right? Let's go back to the reference here. Okay. Where a person is secretly planning to leave and making private preparations to do so without informing the proper people, and does leave, right there is where the word blow comes from, guys, and does not return within a reasonable length of time, which is determined by the people you work with. That could be 24 hours. It could be 2 hours. It could be 2 weeks. It could be a month. It just depends on how they're feeling. Okay. An automatic declare is to be issued. Should any monies or organizational property be found to be missing in consequence, action is to be taken on criminal charges. Criminal charges. All persons whose contracts expire without renewal and all persons who wish to leave are to be security checked by an auditor who's qualified in the qualifications department to make these interrogation questions react on the electropsychometer, okay? On the, the fake lie detector. This will remove their crimes and what their withholdings, inevitably connected, and so relieve the person and the org of the usual justifications and false reports. Page 2. Full screen. No. There we go. All persons before going on leave, vacation, a day off, must be given a security check by a counselor qualified to make the interrogation questions react. Final pay before departure is to be withheld. No soup for you until your interrogation's over. All people coming back from some other place that they were sent to or a vacation must be security checked, because even if you went out and you did a job in an external place, you are not trusted, even though you had to do interrogations in order to be trusted to go to that place. The second you're back, you're interrogated again. Any staff or crew member falsifying the reasons why a leave of any kind, a day off, anything, is needed, or requesting a leave when in fact they are planning to never come back, is the subject of an automatic declare. There's no intention of holding on to people who do not want to be where they are. I'm sorry, didn't the other 4 paragraphs above describe the way that you cannot fucking go anywhere unless you go through this disgusting process of indoctrination and interrogation? There is every intention to use our technology to prevent false reports and suppressive acts from occurring, both to the detriment of the person himself and to the fake Space Navy places. There are enough lies in the world without generating more as to the reasons one is leaving. See how that's in air quotes? Reasons one is leaving or seeking to use the fact to damage the fake Space Navy or itself. It's other people. The vast majority of the people, indentured servants, want to be there and are not leaving, and they don't need people doing hot goss, being mean around. The vast majority are good guys. Guys, this is in no uncertain terms, okay? Let me pull this off here so I can reduce it and get the other thing up. Again, we'll just go back to this article. Just so y'all can see, okay? He claims that if he expressed the desire to leave the church would have subjected him to months of physical labor and interrogations. I think we can glean from reading Leaving and Leaves that the interrogations are absolutely part of it. And if he escaped without permission, he would lose the only world he'd ever know. Immediate declaration. Immediately, you are chastised, you are cast out, you are excommunicated, and not only that, you are the worst. No one can talk to you or have you in their space, okay? Because you are riddled with negative cooties, right? It's not just like, okay, well, we don't want you here, fuck you, don't come back here. It's no one who is participating in Scientology can have anything to do with you. Lawyers who clearly have not read anything Lafayette Ronald wrote ever, insisted that anyone wishing to leave the church are free to do so. Denied, okay, they're free to do so. Really? Really? Denied that Mustard would have been subjected to physical labor and interrogations, and said that those who leave the fake Space Navy are asked to follow certain administrative procedures and wind up their staff affairs. Does that, what we just read, seem like that to you? Hello, lawyers representing Scientology. Okay. Hello to the lawyers representing Scientology. I would love to know which lawyers they contacted for these statements, Daily Mail. Were these lawyers, were these barristers in England? Was this the lawyers that, was it Kendrick Moxon? Let's look at the possible people that could have been contacted here. Let me get rid of this stuff here. Let me pull up this. Okay. So let's look at a couple things here. Who are these people? How can we get in contact with them? What the fuck? Okay. Let's think about this here. Okay. So we have 3, 4, 5 pending cases right now. Okay. Chrissy Bixler, and the other Jane Does versus Scientology and Danny Masterson. This is a civil case. Valerie Haney's case, which we highlighted a few days back. Okay. Versus Scientology. Baxter and Paris versus Scientology. Okay. Jane Doe versus David Miscavige and Gavin Potter. Okay. And Leah versus Scientology. Okay. Now, let's dive into this. This is the Jane Doe versus David Miscavige and Gavin Potter. Okay. Now, Graham Barry is representing Jane Doe. Brittany Henderson, Edwards Pottinger LLC. Okay. And Linda Singer, Carmen Scott and Laura Simkowski, Motley Rice LLC. These are the lawyers for David Miscavige. Here's their phone numbers. Go ahead and screenshot it, guys. Okay. Now, in this case, okay, the complaint is negligence, sexual assault, sexual battery, negligent supervision, failure to warn, negligent employment retention, intentional infliction of emotional distress, fraud, and public nuisance. These actions occurred while Jane Doe was a minor. This is Valerie Haney's case. Okay. I don't think Brian Ken is doing this anymore. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. But the other people are probably on it. Okay. These are, I don't know if these are just Valerie's attorneys here or what. Valerie's case, the complaint says, okay, David Miscavige again named, intentional misrepresentation, concealment, false promise, false imprisonment, kidnapping, stalking in violation of California Civil Code 1708.7. I'm doing okay. Yeah, I've got the fan on me. Yeah, no, I know it's toasty. It's good though. I'm feeling cool. I'm drinking. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's hot. No, thank you. Yeah. I love you. My wife wanted to make sure I wasn't roasting alive in the garage here. It is toasty, but I have the fan on me, so I'm doing okay. Yes, Moxon is a Sea Org. He's a fake Space Navy member. Correct. Correct, Professor Kakan. Libel, slander, constructive invasion of privacy, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Okay. Now, in this one, we get a page 2. So I just want to read this. Human trafficking and violation of the labor code. All right. So the plaintiff, Valerie Haney, hereby submits her first amended complaint against the Church of Scientology, CSI, the Religious Technology Center, RTC. Hereinafter, referring to both CSI and RTC, institutional defendants will be used. I like that. David Miscavige and Does 1 through 25 allege as follows. This case is brought against the defendant organizations of Scientology and its leader, David Miscavige, because the defendants conspired to and did falsely imprison and kidnap plaintiff Valerie Haney. When Miss Haney came forward to make defendants' crimes known to the public, The defendants continued their conspiracy against plaintiff and systematically stalked, harassed, invaded her privacy, and intentionally caused her emotional distress. Again, corroboration. Corroboration. This is the Baxter and Paris lawsuit. Okay. Look at all this. This is all of their shit in there. It's a lot. It's a lot. Okay. The plaintiffs bring this action, okay, against defendant pursuant to the Trafficking Victims Protection Reauthorization Act as children, this is one more time for the people in the back, as children, all three plaintiffs grew up in and were raised by Scientology, not their parents, they were institutionalized since birth. This was not a peaceful or loving environment. Instead, it was a world filled with abuse, violence, intimidation, and fear. Defendants considered plaintiffs to be possessions, void of any rights, whose sole purpose was to serve the defendants. Plaintiffs were placed on a ship they could not leave and routinely punished by being humiliated, interrogated, and imprisoned for the sole purpose of ensuring plaintiffs would continue to perform back-breaking free labor for the defendants. Let's just, one more time, for the people in the back. No, I don't want to do that. I want to exit the full screen. Are you? Oh. We're going to scroll back up. In a statement to the Daily Mail, the law firm representing Scientology said that while Sea Organization staff contributed to these renovations at the church's Los Angeles headquarters, our client has no record of Mr. Mustard's participation in the activities described, nor did the church have children conduct such work. Lie. The lawyers denied that the church used labor in general. Guys, even when they are trying to refute the absolutely irrefutable, undeniable truth spoken by child survivors, they admit their own guilt. What did they think? They thought getting a statement from Roz was going to be like, now Jamie's going to crawl in a hole and stop talking and give up the ghost and be like, oh, guys, give me back the books. Everybody throw them away. Scientology does not view human beings in a child body as children. If you are 6 years old and you can follow directions, you can work. You are therefore no longer a child. You will be promoted to cadet in the fake Space Navy. Because that is the only thing that matters. And if you think about leaving, you think about departing your duty for 1 billion years with that organization, well, you've already made your bed. You're already suppressive. Just thinking that thought, suppressive. Just thinking, maybe I get a different job, suppressive. Telling your best friend, God, I really hate it here. I feel like I should do something else with my life. Suppressive. Putting yourself on the proper route out. Suppressive. There is no free will for adults, the elderly, and especially not children. The earlier that Scientology can get their tentacles into a child and start infecting every cell in their body and overwhelming their brain with this programming and indoctrination, of superiority, of racial and physical and godlike superiority over all of mankind as the only savior of mankind. It wasn't good enough for Lafayette Ronald to have a savior complex. Every single member that opens a book written by Lafayette Ronald, listens to a lecture that he spoke, reads anything that he put out there, is automatically indoctrinated to believe they are the one and only salvation, not only for all of man on this planet, but the entire universe. That they are the only people who are doing anything positive to affect mankind and salvage them from this mess that we are all in. That by itself, I argue, is the singularly most destructive thing to do to a child. I do not care what the religious belief is. To tell a child that they bear the responsibility for the safety, for the sanity, for the life of every human being on planet Earth. And if they choose to not dedicate themselves to this singular movement that is the only place that is doing these things, that they are committing the rest of their fellow man to death for all of eternity, is the worst thing that you can do to a child. Because that child will never be able to make a decision for themselves that does not rack them with guilt and pain, because they believe truly that they are hurting and killing people. Why? Because they wanted to go to a movie. Because they wanted to play soccer. Because God forbid when that child grows old enough to bear a child, that they wanted to do that. It is the most evil organization on the planet. I want to bring up something that goes along with this. It just shows you how this type of indoctrinating, okay, really fucks people over. Scientology, I believe, in my personal opinion, is the king of this, the absolute emperor of fucking with children. But we see this in evangelical Christianity. We see this in Mormonism. We see this in very extreme sects. If you did not see Shiny Happy People season 1 on Prime, they go into the Duggar clan there. It is fantastic. They did a season 2. What is season 2 about? Let's dive in. Let me pull this up. I'm going to have to pause this so many times, guys. I'm probably going to get dinged anyway and have to remove this segment. But for you guys who are watching live, here it is. Okay. Sorry. 1 second here. Oh, wrong text. Okay. I forgot to put myself in the right status here. I don't want all my text to come through while we're playing this video. There we go. And here we go. Let's get into it. There we go. I'm gonna put this like across part of it. I know that's annoying. I apologize. Oh.
Shiny Happy Season 2.
What a ride it's been.
Did you ever hear about Teen Mania?
It's like Coachella for youth groups.
It's a great
Coachella for youth groups. Teen Mania.
place to meet other Christians.
Acquire the Fire was like the thing to do with your youth group.
Acquire the Fire. This also had several branches.
Music's playing, fire shooting off.
It was what? Do you love God or do you love God?
Oh, sorry.
Meet other Christians.
With your youth.
What?
Look at that, guys. Look at the pyrotechnics. This was legit wild content.
And the founder, Ron Luce.
This guy, Ron Luce. What a
Ringmaster.
God wants to use you.
We believed we were changing the world. But then it gets weird.
How do you know you're in a cult if that's your normal?
Oh, look at that question right there from somebody who was born into this. How do you know if you're in a cult if that's your normal? You don't.
Teen Mania was the biggest Christian youth organization in America.
At the beginning, the goal was to get teenagers on mission trips.
So the goal, be clear here, the goal for Teen Mania was to get who? Children to travel around the world on missions for God, to indoctrinate foreign people and get them to convert from their completely wrong, primitive religion and embrace Jesus.
Don't you want to go around the world and save people for Jesus?
Don't you want to? God, it just sounds so familiar. It's like, it's like a copycat of Scientology, the same thing they told us.
Every role was filled by teenagers.
I'm sorry, what? Every role was filled by teenagers. They're doing the sound, the pyrotechnics, the stage, the ushering, everything. And guess what? Were they paid? No. They paid to be there. They were interns, and their parents had to pay for them to be part of this internship. And they raked in millions upon millions of dollars for Ron Luce. Sounds very familiar to me.
You're working 15-hour days, sacrificing yourself for this vision.
It is exploiting these kids.
Yeah.
I was a teenage telemarketer for Jesus.
I'm only going to play that much of the preview because I really want you guys to watch it. It is so good. It is so good. But this same, guys, same. Okay? It's the same shit. Different God, okay? It's all the same stuff. All the money goes up here to one singular person, and all of the effort and work is done by the people below who get nothing. They're supposed to be the most dedicated. They're the most righteous. They are the most whatever. Okay? No, your views are antidepressant. That's what we're saying here. I agree with this statement 100%. Yeah, I was a teenage telemarketer for Jesus. Yeah, guys, that's not even the worst part of that guy's story. You got it. Please go watch it. It's 3 episodes. I watched it basically twice already. I'll probably watch it a third time. It is insanity. It is absolute insanity. I'm going to do a whole series on it here. But yeah, I encourage you to absolutely to watch that. Yeah. So Jamie's article's out. I hope you guys read it. I hope you guys share it. I hope you guys, let people know. And guys, my mods have been dropping the link. Get the book, get the audiobook, however you want. The audiobook is Jamie reading the story himself. But get it. Okay, get it. All right. Yeah, exactly, Professor Kakan. Yes. Let me get to all the things here. Let's pull up members first because I always forget the members and I love you guys. And we did our first members Zoom. We're going to do another one at the end of this month. Leanie's been here for 11 months of membership. Thank you. Thank you very much, Leanie. Thank you for sending me hugs too. I appreciate that. 6 months of membership here from Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you for sticking it out here for 6 whole months. I appreciate you. Let's go to comments. See if I have an address. Oh, that Nora? That's not how you spell that. Yeah, I agree, Steffi. I agree. It is the shizit. I smell quick settlement. Should Jamie sue? Spoken words are evidence. Court does not need receipts. Correct. Correct. That's crazy sauce. Charging people for leaving, they are just butthurt that they can't bleach any like suck any more money out of them. Yeah. They can't have children, but they have to only marry fake Space Navy peeps because they can't masturbate. Yes. I'm sorry. What are they allowed to do? Nothing. Nothing. Prior to marriage, you're allowed to hold hands and like, French kiss. That's it. No touching, even over the clothes. No, none of that. It's interesting how he uses the word child, yet he does not believe there are actual children. Correct. Oh, yeah. That severe reality adjustment. That wasn't the only one I got from that man. Yeah. Thank you, Mena. Thank you. And trigger warning, guys. I'm sorry. There's always that aspect of my story that I forget is very dark. So I apologize for not like placing a trigger warning before telling that story. Yeah, I don't know how that's legal, Lady Jane. I don't. But they have Scientologists who are travel agents, and they will look up if you've purchased the ticket because they already have all your personal info. Yeah. The ranch absolutely was a labor camp for the kids. Yes. Yes, Scientologist does equal child abuser. Agreed. Yep. And the Labiqua, fuck Labiqua in Scientology. They do not like them. Yeah. Let's get to your questions here. How old was Jamie when he left? I believe it was like just before he turned 19 or he was 19-ish. If someone is attempted deprogramming by their family, would they be made to get a... I love that you're bringing up PDH checks into this. I have to pull that up here, guys. That is a very specific, like, interrogation. And I'm trying to remember what it stands for. Shit. Let me look that up. I'm going to search for the PDH check. If somebody wants to like remind me what that stands for, Professor Kakan or somebody else. Pain drug hypnosis. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And thank you, Schizorogue. Yeah. Pain drug hypnosis check. This is to see if this specific list of interrogation questions is to see if somehow you were programmed like MK Ultra style by the government or psychiatrists or both to infiltrate Scientology, and that like you've just been activated like a Manchurian candidate. Okay. I received one of those. That's another story for another time. But yes, I received one of those once when they thought I was a bad gal. Now this thing here, because I was looking that up on the internet. If you guys want to like find all the shit, you go to xenu.net. Okay, which the first time that I saw it, I thought it was Xenu. I was like, who's Xenu? Who's Xenu? Because I'm so Greek. I was like, Xenu toast. Okay, anyway. This, y'all, this is the children's interrogation form. There is such a thing. It's from 1961. Okay. The following is a processing check for use on children. Be sure the child can understand the question. Rephrase it so he or she can understand it. The first question is the most potent. What has somebody told you not to tell? Have you ever decided you did not like some member of your family? Have you ever taken something belonging to somebody else and never given it back? Have you ever pretended to be sick? Have you ever made yourself sick or hurt yourself to make somebody sorry? Have you ever wanted something Ever have you ever wanted something very much but never told anybody about it? Have you ever gotten yourself dirty on purpose? Have you ever refused to eat just to worry someone? Have you ever remembered something about yourself and not told anybody because you thought they wouldn't believe you or be angry at you? Have you ever refused to obey an order from someone you should obey? Have you ever told another child something that wasn't true just to frighten or upset him? Have you ever bullied a smaller child? Have you ever deliberately got another child or grown up into trouble? Have you ever pestered grown people who were trying to work? Have you ever been mean or cruel to an animal, bird, or fish? Have you ever forgotten to give food or water to a pet entrusted to your care? Have you ever broken something belonging to someone else? Have you ever deliberately spoiled clothing of yours because you didn't like it? Do you have a secret? Have you ever noticed something wrong with your body that you were afraid to tell anybody about? Have you ever done anything you were very much ashamed of? Is there anything about your parents, about you, your parents could not understand even if you told them? Have you ever failed to finish your schoolwork on time? Have you ever flunked an examination at school? Have you ever deliberately given a teacher trouble? Have you ever tried to make others dislike some teacher? Have you ever tried to make another child unpopular? Have you ever broken, damaged, or taken any school property? Have you ever lied to a teacher? Have you ever been late to school or late to class? Have you stayed away from school when you could have gone? Have you ever been cheated? Have you ever cheated by copying someone else's work, taking notes into an examination, or looking up answers in a book when you weren't supposed to? Have you ever spoiled things for somebody? Who have you made guilty? Have you ever done something you shouldn't when you were supposed to be in bed or asleep? Have you ever told others bad stories about someone? Have you ever tried to make others believe that your parents or teachers were cruel to you? That one right there. Like, look at the way a child is programmed from the very start to not say bad things even when they are happening. Because why? You're making others believe that your parents or teachers were cruel. Not that they're actually abusing you or hurting you, right? That doesn't happen. Okay? But you're programmed to know that it's just you doing that. Have you ever offered as an excuse for something you've done wrong that you are only a child or that you haven't grown up yet? Have you ever felt that your parents and home were too good for you? Have you ever felt that your parents in your home weren't good enough for you? Is there anything you should tell your parents and never have? Have you ever done anything to someone else's body that you shouldn't have? Have you ever told anyone that you did something when you hadn't really done it? Have you ever told anyone that you hadn't done something which you really had done? Have you ever ganged up on another child and made fun of him because he was different from the rest of you? Have you ever made fun of another because of the way he looked? Have you ever decided to never talk to someone again? Have you ever made your parents or teachers work harder than they should? Have you ever decided that you were too bright or too smart for the other kids? Have you ever annoyed an adult by something you did or said? Have you ever hurt a child? Have you ever made a child sulk? Have you ever kept another child from having something that really belonged to him? Have you ever found anything and failed to return it to its owner? Have you ever told stories about someone behind their back? Have you ever lied to escape blame? Have you ever not told the whole truth about something so as to protect someone? That's a crime. Have you ever felt ashamed of your parents? Have you ever disappointed your parents? Have you ever run away when you should have stayed? Have you ever run away when you should have stayed? Programming, indoctrination, programming. Have you ever felt your parents wouldn't understand something that happened in school, so you didn't tell them? Have you ever not told teachers something about your family because they wouldn't understand it? Have you ever failed to keep another child's secret? Have you ever felt it was just no use talking to someone? Have you ever hurt someone you didn't mean to? Have you ever been sloppy about your clothes or possessions? Have you ever cried when you shouldn't have? Have you ever been a coward? Have you ever made too much fuss over a little hurt? Have you ever tried to make your parents believe you were doing better in school than you were? Have you ever told on anyone? Have you ever teased younger children? Have you ever made a mess and not helped to clean it up? Have you ever broken or damaged something and never told anybody it was you who did it? Have you ever let someone else get punished for something you did? Have you ever cried till you got your way? Have you ever decided someday when I'm grown up, I'll get even? If so, with whom? Have you ever picked on someone smaller than yourself? Have you ever upset anyone by throwing a temper tantrum? Have you ever hurt anyone by telling them you didn't love them anymore? Have you ever made out that you were more badly damaged than you were in order to make someone stop picking on you? Have you ever pretended to like someone that you didn't like in order to satisfy your parents? These questions, and all of them must be asked and answered if there is a reaction, or have a very specific reaction saying there's nothing there. Ages 6 to 12. A 6-year-old can be asked these things. A 6-year-old can be asked all of these questions. That is how Scientology and Lafayette Ronald view children, as potential criminals. Okay? So when Jamie wrote this book, which they are not really refuting, they're just like, well, I mean, kids worked, but it wasn't all the time, okay? Like, meh. And when he signed the billion-year indentured servitude, fake contract, it was adorable. It was adorable. It was adorable that my kid wanted to be like me and neglect all of their own humanity and all of the laws of the land to indenture themselves into slavery with me. Then maybe we would have a similar schedule and we could eat meals together. Unless, of course, they become more senior to me and then they can't fraternize with their mother because that's bad. Guys, just when you think Scientology can't get worse, it's worse. Okay? It's worse. Yeah, that's pretty much, that's their response in the Daily Mail. We'll see if they have any other responses. I think they should stop talking. That's my very legal advice, to just shut the fuck up. Oh no, LBS lower. You have to sit. You must sit still. You must sit for every single one of those questions. Childlike behavior is unacceptable. To be called a child in Scientology is you know, there's a suppressive, there's wogs, and there's children. Those are like the 3 most despicable things to be in Scientology. Because those are people that Scientologists consider have no real abilities to do things in life. Oh my God, guys. Exactly, Gina. They can say what they want, but there are too many kids with the same experience. Correct. Every single day, guys, every single day, when another child X reads this book, they immediately start, you know, talking to Jamie going, holy shit, bro. Holy shit. This is our story. You wrote my fucking story down. That is what they are most afraid of, guys, because as you can see here in the tubes of you, there is a small amount of us that have come forward to, you know, do this, to speak openly and freely constantly about Scientology. There are tens of thousands of children who were born into this. Now, I do want to bring up something gross. I don't want to bring it up there. Okay. So they have a new website on the YouTubes. And this is not, guys, I want to make it abundantly clear. I'm showing you this because it is not accurate. I don't know that it violates YouTube's terms of service because I don't know. I don't know how it does. Okay, that's not the video I want. Okay. So the channel. Okay, hang on. The channel is called Vetted Facts. As you can see, they've got Leah up here. They got Tony Ortega. They have Claire. They have Mark. And they have Aaron. Okay. I guess they took Mike's picture off because he is now dead. So they're like, well, we'll take it off because people don't like that we say things about a dead dude. So, but they kept all the videos of him up. Okay. I will suggest that for him for sure. I will suggest that for him. And he's going to be on this show. We're going to do something this coming week. It's true about the people out here talking. There could be a lot more. I hope they come out. I hope so too. I hope so. I hope that they feel empowered and emboldened by Jamie's book to know that their truth can exist in this world. Okay. Now I bring this up because, okay, this is the awful POW video they made, Phil Anderson make about Laura. Okay. Now, if you go here, they have all of these videos. This is, they had to get one out about Robert Dam. This is Mark Headley. This one is about Aaron. This is when they just put out, this guy is Robert Lundeen, who used to be Aaron's boss. God, he looks rough right now. This is an old Marty one. Look, guys, they have black people in the fake Space Navy. There's literally 2. Okay. This is Aaron's sister-in-law, blah, 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 blah. That's his that's his mother-in-law, who's still very much a member. Blah, blah, blah. This lady, like, come on. Stop trying to be somebody. They had to do stuff about Alex. Okay, we're going to keep scrolling. This is Jenny DeVocht. Okay, Tom DeVocht's former wife, who's also Jenny Linson, who's like one of the scariest people on planet Earth. If you have to displeasure of being in her crosshairs. Okay, here's one of the 10. They have like literally probably 10 black members. Here's another one. They gotta pull out the United Colors of Beaverton here. They do have a lot of stuff. This guy, I worked with Jason. This is Jason Mayfield, trying to pretend like he was like this close personal friend of Leah in these videos. Like, give me a break. Give me a break. But we're going to scroll through all of this total propaganda bullshit. Propaganda. I cannot believe that they got Willow to do this. Fuck off, Willow. Anyway, I know most of these people in these videos, it's just annoying to see them like being used in this manner. It's so gross. How come they all have the same jacket on? Where are they getting these jackets? Anyway. Blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of videos about Mike in here. So much Mike Rinder content because, got so many Taryn videos. Okay. This is the one I want to show you. Okay. They put this up 4 months ago. Okay. Scientology has allegedly, according to them, millions of members worldwide. Why are their views combined on this channel? We'll go back to the bottom here in a second. Okay. So this channel is another one that they've pumped out. Okay. It started back in February of this year. Okay. They have 144,000 views. Guys, I deleted videos off my channel with 10 times the views of that. Okay. Like, they can't even in 4 months. It's pathetic. Anyway, moving on. Let's go back down to the bottom here. We're going to watch this. I want you guys to watch these POWs. Okay.
So I grew up.
These are all people in Denmark. So if Miriam.
I grew up in Denmark, Copenhagen. I was born in Frederiksberg. Came to live at Corona on Kort Ellerskade down in the Gammelholm district, which is basically a very historic part of town.
There's a place that's called Hvidovre, which is, it's very close to Copenhagen.
Okay, so these are all people growing up in Denmark. They're going to tell some fake story. I'm going to speed it up a little bit because I'm really trying to not get dinged here by them. I'll put a link. Nah, 2x, you guys, nobody likes that except for me. Okay, here we go.
So I was born there to my parents who are from Switzerland and Germany.
My parents, they met in Copenhagen. They're both Swiss, and they met, and then they had me. So
that's usually how that people have to meet before they have a child. Like, it's not like spontaneous combustion. You can't just think about a random person across the universe and boom, you're pregnant.
I grew up, that's where I was born, in the cadet org.
The cadet org is for.
So these are all people who were born into the institution just like Jamie.
Or the children of members of this organization, the religious order of Scientology.
If your parents are part of this religious movement, this religious order, the Sea organization, they're spending a certain amount of time administering to the parishioners of the church. So you're in a group of similarly aged kids.
So I grew up
So you're just in this group of similarly aged kids while your parents are spending just an amount of time working. I can't say for sure because I was a baby. But seeing your mom or dad, or maybe both, a couple hours a week, that's normal. That's normal stuff.
Together with other children that were part of that same group. We had a nice community of kids that could grow up together.
Where's the adults? Is this an adult? Is that lady an adult? Maybe. Look at all these kids. Yeah. No parents.
I had 2 parents that really cared about me. And if I ever had any problem or whatever, like I could go to my parents, and they would help me out.
I'm sorry, what? I don't know about that.
Often go visit them at work.
Sure. You just go visit. What?
So we would see them, it was very easy because where they worked was only like 15 minutes away. So we'd walk, after school, come see them.
They had
school. Are we kidding ourselves right now? You're going to call that school. Here she is with her parents getting a POW photo op here for the parents. Look, this is our Christmas card.
Additional time to see me, and same with all the parents there. So my parents always knew what was happening. They knew what I was learning. They knew the updates on, what was happening in school, how I was doing in school. Every Saturday, like me.
I'm sorry. Do we need to go back to the other thing that they wrote where they were like, children are a distraction? And so they must be eliminated from the process?
My dad and my sister would go around to what is called kiosk. In Denmark, a kiosk is actually a little shop. So we'd go to a new kiosk and find our favorite ice cream.
Yeah. Can I just say something? Who doesn't have a picture of themselves eating ice cream at some point in their life? There has to be some highlights, guys. It can't all be torture, right? There has to be the things that string you along, even as a child.
That's our game.
Go to the bakery and get the, fresh baked bread, one stykker, and bring it, and wake up the parents, That was Saturday morning breakfast, staple, whole life.
Yeah, just bread. That's totally, let's just have bread. every day for breakfast. Fine, yeah.
You had your parents, but then you also had the nannies who, they cared about you, they wanted you to do well, they loved children, and you could feel that. Like
Oh, there were nannies.
As a child, you felt loved.
My favorite was Christine. She was from Belgium, and she was the most caring individual. She would listen to us. I mean, realize we're a bunch of little kids, like, you know, mischievous, like a normal kid.
So it was definitely a way to have the children there taken care of to make sure they have what they need. If
Sure. The nannies.
they get sick, bring them to the doctor. If they need to
Why wouldn't their parents bring them to the doctor?
go to the dentist, make sure they go to the dentist.
So again, the parents not doing that. Okay.
That they don't just like after school go roam around the town, but actually are in an environment where they're taken care of.
What about their parents? What about their parents? Isn't that the parents' job?
I don't know, 20, 30, and it was fun. Like everybody.
So 20 or 30 kids at once, totally normal, like one person taking care of all those people.
It was one family, you could say. And even if there were differences, which you always have, we learned to, grow together and help each other.
Our schedule generally was we'd get up in the morning, have breakfast, of course, and then we would go to school.
So I went to Anna International School. It was a school that had, it was accepting all kinds of religious students, and we had all kinds of nationalities.
So they went, so this is their experience in Denmark, guys.
The great thing about the school I went to is that you got taught how to learn, which is missing in life out there. We did courses like learning how to learn, how to.
Oh, it's a Scientology school. Okay. Yeah, that's not a real, no one else goes to kindergarten or elementary or primary or whatever the fuck you call it in your country and does a class called Learning How to Learn. That is only in Scientology because that was written by Lafayette Ronald.
Use a dictionary.
So school.
Okay, so here's all these children that maybe consented to their visage being out here, maybe not. I don't know. I can't believe that every single one of these people is still a happy Scientologist. Look, this guy doesn't look, I'm sorry, this looks like this man right here looks like an after-school special waiting to happen. I am stranger danger. Stranger danger. This kid, I'm loving him in the full suit here. Boom. Ready. Yeah. And they're all in this picture. Where's the rest of the kids from this picture that want to talk about how great everything was?
For me, that was a breeze, going through all the regular subjects, chemistry, geology.
You don't do those.
Geography.
Languages, I learned English, German, French, Danish, of course, which...
First of all, that's normal for people in European countries. For all the Americans going, wow, that's crazy. There's a great joke about that we just speak the English. Most other countries, they learn more than one language.
Funnily enough, my Danish was my highest score.
We actually had music lessons, we had art lessons, we had sport lessons.
Physics and chemistry was definitely what I liked, so we also do experiments in the cadet org.
In the cadet org. Well, there he is. Laura's comment flew by earlier, so I don't know where it is. But apparently this man was in charge of the boot camp for people at the Mecca there in Florida. Yeah.
Sometimes it didn't go exactly as well as it should, but whatever, learning experience.
After school, there are basically three things, which we had after classes that we would be working on, which is reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Right. The 3 R's. That's all you need to know, guys. Reading, writing, and arithmetic.
I mean, that later in life, has been like math, anything having to do with math has been just a very easy subject for me. I became a mechanical contractor in the state of Florida. For me, it's just been very easy.
Is he still working as a mechanical contractor for the fake Space Navy, where he doesn't have, licenses?
Once we were out of school, we could go places, like we could go to libraries. The Copenhagen has a number of public libraries. With bicycles, we could go to the park often.
I do love that about like Denmark, where people are just bicycling everywhere and things like that. Look at this cute picture. Here we are with cows.
During like the weekend, we go to museums.
The National Museum of Minerals.
They were trafficked there. Their parents were trafficked there, and then they were born there.
Thought that place was fascinating with all of the crystals and whatnot, but they have a meteorite outside in the yard, or it's the National Art Museum, or the Botanical Gardens.
We would go to horse races. We would go to all the amusement parks like Cotton Ball and,
They would just go all the time. It was like a weekly occurrence. No, it wasn't. They had to do these things to make it look like these kids were happy, that their life was normal. So that when grandparents and people who were not Scientologists asked, they could show these very, very staged pictures of these kids at an amusement park.
Heavily. But yeah, we were out a lot, like, either playing football, what we call, European football.
So here they are, just running around in their swimsuits. I don't know why they would include this picture here. Is it just me, or does it appear that this young lady has no top on? Maybe I'm missing the top, but also this young lady has no top on, or that could be a young man. I don't know. Why? Why would we include that, Scientology? She clearly has bottoms on. Why would we include a picture of a young child in your video with no top on? Because children are not children. Wow. They just were put on a plane? Just put on a plane. Okay. I'm sorry. That was disturbing. As the mother of children, you don't post things like that. They have tops on. Well, guys, I'm confused. This girl has a top on. Questionable. One piece. She's got a towel and a top on. No top, but I can't, and no top. This human does not look like, and maybe it's just the same color as the skin here. It's just throwing me. It's just weird. I don't like it.
Playing football, what we call, European football, or we had some form of baseball we used to play.
I love going to the beach. Like any opportunity I could, we'd go to the beach and I would just swim for hours and yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah, just children just going to the beach and swimming for hours whenever they wanted. Or is that what you do on the weekend now?
And the nice cold Danish water.
That was sort of what we used to do, is like every day there was some sort of outdoor activity so that, we were extroverted all the time.
Yeah, you got to be extroverted, guys. Can't be introverted.
We definitely had chores, but it normally was, I remember, it would take about an hour, then you would do basic cleaning or whatever. We'd help out at the church. That was a lot of fun because it was sort of where the grown-ups were, so you were there and, you're filing.
Because you were separate from the grown-ups, AKA your parents. So when you get to go do manual labor for them unpaid, you maybe got a glimpse of your parents. Got it.
Or whatever it is.
Some kids are spoiled. We weren't spoiled. We learned that you have to actually work. You have to produce, and that exchange can be anything,
Yeah. You got to produce. You got to work. We weren't spoiled.
It could be love. It could be, sweep a room, make a bed.
We were always...
Yeah, it doesn't have to be love. I mean, who has the weird idea that your parents should love you? Weird.
Always accepted. People let us help if we wanted to, and that was something that was... we like that. We like to be part of.
Yeah, they let us do all of the things, in those smoke-filled rooms, that they were working.
Whatever was going on.
As part of that group, there are certain moral values, that you're being taught, based on the works of L. Ron Hubbard, where he's laid out the precepts to, if you follow these, then you'll be happy in life.
I learned things that I value to this day because I learned things that were very valuable to survival, to, helping people.
Be responsible. Not.
Yeah, be responsible. Be responsible, children.
Expect that mom and dad will bail you out for any mistake.
Yeah, don't expect that your parents support you and give a shit what happens to you and believe you when you say, hey, this shit's fucked up. No, you fucking made the mistake. That's on you.
Own up to mistakes.
If you did something where you treated another that you wouldn't like to be treated, it would be pointed out.
Oh, kind of like that whole interrogation form that we just read. Yeah.
Would you like to be treated that way? No. I was like, okay, good point.
If I give my word, I got to keep it. If I come in a situation where I really should help, somebody or something, like I'll do that. I mean, that's another takeaway from that time period.
But the friendships that I made, I mean, there's.
Oh, wait a minute. You're not there anymore. Is this your baby or is that her baby? Whose baby? You guys are all still friends now. That's so sweet. I love a happy ending.
Still friends today. Like I'm working with 3 of them right now. Like it's like growing up with 50 brothers and sisters. We were very.
Oh, right. Because when you grow up in the Sea organization, you have no external skills because you've never existed in the real world. So you're destined to work for and with fellow cult babies for the rest of your life. Fantastic.
Very close. Like even now, if I run into anyone else, like they'll come visit, or if I go back, to Denmark and go visit anyone, it's instant, love all over again because you grew up together. You went through, your whole childhood with them.
I mean,
oh, she almost said some shit. She almost talked badly.
That's my experience in Denmark. It's a lot of fond memories, a lot of good experiences, a lot of freedom, a lot of able to do and kind of create a life.
How much drugs is he on now? That's my question.
My parents and that group that I grew up with, I could thank them for that. And it's an experience I wouldn't sell for anything.
It's an experience she wouldn't sell for anything. Interesting choice of words. I can't even with that. Anyway, that channel is filled with a bunch of hullabaloo. Thank you, Miriam, for pointing out that the Robert Dam has his own hate website now because they have to refute everything that he says. But again, Robert Dam is another person who grew up in this, who was tortured, kidnapped, human trafficked, and now they're going to wheel out the 5 people. I think it was 4, 2 ladies, 3 ladies, and the 2 guys. So 5 people out of the tens of thousands of children who grew up in this fakakta thing. That's not even half of the kids in most of those photos. They couldn't even get half of those children who experienced this life to be like, oh, it was great. It was idyllic. Look at us with cows. Guys, you want to know what it's like to grow up in a high control human child trafficking cult that abuses all of its members from the day they are born? Read this book. Get it. Listen to the audiobook. However you do books. Okay? We have to yeah, I don't know what's happening with the link. I put a link out and somehow it's not working for people in Europe. And maybe it's because I've put it out there and I'm in America. So if you're in another country besides the US, just go to the Daily Mail website in your country and search for Jamie Mustard and the article should come up for you. If it doesn't, use a VPN and look at the American website. Okay. But like I said, I downloaded it as a PDF. I'm going to put it on the community tab page. So you guys everyone can have it. Okay. We have to keep telling the truth, the radical truth about Scientology and what it does to the mind of a child before they have any idea that there can be like self-will, right? That is erased from their existence. Please do hit that like. Thank you to my mods. Thank you to my mods for being here. I appreciate you guys so much. Yeah, it does seem to be restricted in some European countries, Miriam. Imagine that. Just so crazy. Okay. And do what you can to spread the word, guys. Talk to your representatives. Share this book with other people. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to pull it up here. For those who don't know, I have a Substack. You guys can find me on Substack. I'm trying to work on that. But, oh, that's what I wanted to bring up. So Shiny Happy People Season 2, we watched a little bit of that. How did Shiny Happy People end? How did they take down that organization? I'm going to show you right now. This is my blog. This is Scientology Casualties.blogspot.com. It's also ScientologyCasualties.com. You can put either one of those in there. But this blog right here, Recovering Alumni, my Teen Mania experience, okay? Because of this blog, Teen Mania is no more. Because thousands of former participants in that cult came forward and shared their stories. That's what I want to do with this other blog. Okay, guys? I want people to come forward and share your story. Share your growing up in Scientology story so that we can document it all for the world to see. Okay? If you are a child X, if you are a born in, if you are, you were human trafficked across the land, whatever. If your childhood involved indoctrination into Scientology, please, okay, contact me. I will put your story up. We can put it up anonymously or with your name or however you want to identify yourself, okay? You can write to me at truecrimewithnora@gmail.com. We'll put it up there, okay? Because we need to get all of the stories out. There is no part of your story that is wrong or useless or irrelevant or unimportant. Please, 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 let's get the stories out there. Let's start telling the world that not only is Jamie Mustard telling the raw, unvetted, fucking unfiltered truth, the radical truth in this book, but there are tens of thousands of us out here that are going to say the same story. They can try and dismiss this. There's still 3 cases pending. All of them are children fighting back against Scientology. Again, if you guys need legal help, thank you, Haggis, for being here. Victimshavevoices.com. Let me pull that up. Has a resource page on there for the law firm, okay, that you can contact. Let me pull these ladies up. Okay. These gals. Okay, it's Andrews and Thornton. There's their emails. There's a phone number to reach them at. There's their website if you want to go there. Please, ooh, the Topo Chico is hitting me hard today, guys. Please go to their website. Tell your story. Just because, let's say, your story doesn't involve something that's legally actionable, more people need to know how many of us are out there. More people need to know how many of us are out there. Okay? Because we need to keep putting this front and center. Front and center. Okay? And make sure that you know you matter. What happened to you matters, and it has consequences, not for you, not for you sharing it, for the people who abused you. Justice is coming for them. Justice is coming for them. And you should get to reap the rewards of that justice 100%. Thank you guys, as always, for tuning in. I'm going to see you guys again real soon on the Flippity Dippity.